What's going on? It's Suk and I'm back with a brand new video on SuperDuprTech. In today's video, I'll be bringing you my full and in-depth review of the brand new 2023 16-inch M2 Pro MacBook Pro. I've already tested and reviewed the 14-inch MacBook Pro, so if you'd like to see that video then be sure to click the card in the top right corner. Also, we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so if you are new around here then I must ask you to hit the subscribe button, clicking the bell to be notified of when a new video goes live. But without any further ado, let's hit the titles. So first up, let's get into talking about the design of this MacBook Pro. It indeed has the same external design as the MacBook Pro models which were released in 2021, which is great, and it's personally one of my favourite designs. And whilst it's slightly thicker than the previous touch bar models, it certainly makes up for this thickness in the spec sheet. There is next to no flex to the chassis, and if the 2021 models were anything to go by, then they'll continue to stay structurally sound for years to come. The only branding on this machine is the Apple logo on the lid and the embossed MacBook Pro text on the bottom casing. On the left side of this device, you'll find the MagSafe 3 charging port along with dual USB-C Thunderbolt ports, and next to this you'll find a high impedance headphone port. On the right side there is a HDMI 2.1 port along with another USB-C along with an SD-XC card slot, which should be enough for most people, especially given the versatility of USB-C and the number of hubs and adapters that are currently out in the market. It can be purchased in two different finishes, the standard silver and space grey. Along with this, you'll notice that the keyboard deck is blacked out, which I find adds to the aesthetic, and for some reason I really like the silver coloured MacBook Pros. Using the MagSafe charger with the included 140 watt power adapter, it'll be able to fast charge this MacBook to 50% in 30 minutes, which should give you roughly around 9 hours of normal use. Or if you're a power user, then 50% will get you around 5 hours of use, which I don't think is too bad if you've got the brightness up a decent amount and you're using applications like Lightroom, Photoshop and Final Cut Pro, which indeed means that whilst using this machine, I've averaged around 18 to 19 hours of light use, and that's including having the machine on standby overnight. And whilst pushing this MacBook whilst editing and doing other things, I've been able to average around 7 hours of use with the brightness on maximum, but with auto brightness on, I've actually been able to average around 9 to 10 hours of use. Lifting the lid reveals the beautiful mini LED, high refresh rate, high resolution, high brightness display, which makes creating and consuming content a joyful experience. It measures 16.2 inches diagonally with thin bezels. It's got a resolution of 3456 by 2234, which gives us a pixel density of 254 pixels per inch. It supports the same True Tone technology as MacBooks from previous years, along with the same P3 color gamut support, once again, that we've seen previously. And when I say high brightness, I mean it. This display is able to sustain 1000 nits across the panel, and it's also able to peak to 1600 nits when displaying HDR content. It still supports Apple's True Tone technology, which will match the color temperature of the environment to the color temperature that is displayed on the screen. Along with this, it still has support for the P3 color spectrum. Whilst the notch makes its return, I almost never realized it in the previous models, and it's no different here. It houses a Full HD FaceTime camera, which due to how the M2 Pro is processing the footage, it actually looks a little better than the M1 Pro models from 2021. Here is footage from the 2021 MacBook Pro and then this brand new 2023 model. Take a look for the brightness, the exposure, the sharpness, and also note the clarity of the microphones. So this is what footage from the FaceTime HD camera found upon the 2023 16-inch MacBook Pro looks like. So you should get a good feel for how the audio quality is, along with what the video footage is like. So how sharp is the beard? How is the background looking? You know, I can see the writing on the camera right there still looks quite blurry, even though this is being recorded at 1080p. How does my voice sound? In general, how does it look? Is this what you'd expect from a MacBook that costs almost £3,000? Yeah. How does it sound? How do I look? Once again, this MacBook Pro has a 12-core CPU along with a 19-core GPU, 16GB of RAM, and 512GB of storage. What are your thoughts on how it looks? Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. The footage that you're looking at this current moment is being recorded on an M1 Pro enabled 14-inch MacBook Pro. So you should get a good idea as to how I sound, along with how, of course, the camera on this MacBook Pro is performing. The newer 2023 model clearly has some differences, and I can notice it at least within my beard. So let's keep a little look around my beard to see how the hairs are. Taking a look at the keyboard, you will notice that the touch bar has completely gone, just like we've seen with the 2021 models. So if you are coming from an Intel based MacBook Pro with the touch bar, then it's worth noting that you'll not see the touch bar on any of these new models. Instead, the touch bar has been replaced by a full-size row of function keys, and to the right of that you will notice Touch ID built directly into the power button. This keyboard has 0.9mm of travel. The keyboard is also backlit, which means if you are working in the dark that you're able to see exactly which keys you are tapping. If we're including the previous MacBook Pro model, then it's worth noting that I am yet to have any issue with this new style keyboard. And whilst I can certainly feel the difference between the butterfly keyboard and this keyboard feels a bit more robust, so it's definitely a dub. On the left and right of the keyboard, you will notice the massive speaker grills, and it's for a reason. The speakers in this MacBook Pro sound phenomenal. But you already knew that. I mean, if we take a look at the 14-inch MacBook Pro, that sounded incredible, but now imagine how the 16-inch will sound. Well, you don't have to imagine any longer. Here, let's take a little listen to the 14-inch MacBook Pro and compare it to the 16-inch. Below the keyboard you will find the hilariously large trackpad, and whilst Apple really hasn't changed the recipe when it comes to their trackpads, it's still pretty much the best trackpad on the market. It's able to detect different amounts of pressure that is applied to the trackpad, which still means you're able to peek and pop into messages and access a dictionary and thesaurus from literally the trackpad. It's honestly a solid A+ trackpad, and I'm struggling to see where Apple really could improve upon it. You'll notice that I've not been talking much about the Apple Silicon chip within this machine, as it's honestly the bread and butter of the machine, but for most people you already knew that. In fact, it's kind of become a little bit of a running joke right about now with how good these Apple Silicon machines are outperforming the competition. And whilst there are certainly some machines out there that will outperform these MacBook Pros, it's worth noting that when you put the power to performance into perspective, that those machines really are not as efficient as what you're seeing with these MacBook Pros. There are certainly machines out there that will outperform these MacBook Pros by around 20 to 30%, but you certainly ain't getting 20 to 30% more battery life on those machines. In fact, compared to those machines, you get double the battery life on these MacBooks. But anyway, I've uploaded a video in which I've run a number of different tests on this 16-inch MacBook Pro, which I will leave in the card in the top right corner, and it will also be linked down below in this video's description. So you may want to go ahead and check out that video and where I test this machine. You might also want to run a handful of those tests on your own machine to see how they compare. Even if you've got a desktop, I'd certainly like to see how your machine stacks up to these MacBooks. But talking about the M2 Pro chip, the GPU. The GPU on this 16-inch MacBook Pro is a 19-core GPU, which is actually capable of performing very well when it comes to playing a number of different games. Don't believe me? Well, I've already uploaded a video on that. You might want to check the card in the top right corner or check out the link down below in this video's description. But in short, you certainly can play a good number of games on this MacBook Pro at a range of different settings. Be it GTA, Battlefield, CSGO, Fortnite, the list goes on. And with its 120Hz ProMotion display, it certainly provides a good on-the-go gaming experience. The machine has 16GB of LPDDR5 unified memory, which is shared across the CPU and the GPU. It also has 512GB of SSD based storage, which for whatever reason is slower than what we got with the 2021 models. I guess it's mainly a cost-cutting measure, but it's certainly not what I would like to see, especially when this MacBook Pro retails for over £2,500. And whilst the SSDs are very fast, it's just not as fast as what I was hopeful to see. macOS has been fairly good across the board. Now, whilst I've been using it predominantly on my other machines, standout features like universal control work incredibly well. I love being able to use the trackpad and keyboard from one device on another, and improvements made to Spotlight search have been good, as I have over 70TB of storage, so the ability to search one time and have it scan through all my drives has been great. But the addition of now being able to preview these files from within Spotlight honestly helps tremendously. I love being able to group my tabs in Safari and link them to a focus mode, so when I get to the office, my work tabs instantly open up, and those that are in my personal group that I've been looking at on my Mac at home or even on my iPhone instantly open up. Stage Manager is a bit hit and miss for me. I find that on a Mac it's not as useful as it would be on an iPad, and I like being able to view my desktop so that if I'm working within an application and I need to access my desktop in a pinch. A FaceTime handoff is such a simple idea which has been executed very well. I love being able to start a call on my iPhone and then be able to switch across to my MacBook Pro. I only need to tap the trackpad 2 times for it to then pick up the call on my MacBook Pro, which saves me having to ring again, which can be annoying to the person on the other side. Whilst I've not had many issues with macOS, it's worth noting that I have previously had issues with the Home app when it comes to controlling the lights and different HomePods around my home. Also, for whatever reason, when it comes to using Stage Manager on this MacBook Pro, it seems to flicker and have its own little glitches, so that certainly will need some sort of update from Apple. If you've seen any of my previous reviews, then you already know what I'm about to say. But it's a Mac, which means a few things. Great build, robust software, best-in-class performance, battery life, which is once again the talk of the town, especially in this model. I mean, it has the best battery life that Apple is able to offer in any portable Mac. Although it's all locked into Apple's image, so upgradability is basically all but non-existent. Although it has to be said that we are going to start seeing slightly smaller generational improvements when it comes to MacBooks, it's still very good to see that we are still getting performance improvements whilst also improving upon the efficiency, as when it comes to a portable computer, battery life honestly should be one of the top 3 things when considering making a purchase. As a professional tool, I understand why it's priced as it currently is, but it's worth noting that if this device can be caught on a sale, then I certainly would look towards purchasing it at any discount. In many instances, it may very well be cheaper to board a flight, head to America, purchase the MacBook abroad, and then come back over to the UK. But hey, that has been it for today's video. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to hit the thumbs up button, and if you are new around here, then be sure to subscribe clicking the bell icon to be notified of when a new video goes live. If you've got any questions with anything you've seen in today's video, then be sure to leave them down below in this video's comment section, or alternatively you can hit me up on my social media, links to which can be found down below in this video's description. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care and have a good one.